You think the screen is black, right? Try this. Turn your brightness all the way up and go sit in a dark room. Look closely. Is it actually giving off any light at all? Because if it is, technically, this is not black. And it turns out getting an actual real black out of a screen is way harder than I thought. So I made this video to figure it out properly. What does it actually mean for a screen to be black? Why is it so hard to get there? And whether we can ever actually get there at all. This whole thing started because of a client. I was making a dark themed video for him with a black background, and everything looked clean on my screen. But he kept telling me that the background wasn't black enough, and I kept telling him that it's literally RGB 000. That's as black as it can get. So out of curiosity, I played the exact same video on an older laptop I had lying around. And honestly, he was right. It looked grey. It just wasn't as black as it should be. It was the same file, same numbers, just a different screen. And that's when I had to go down this entire rabbit hole. So a quick refresher first, because we'll need it later. Most of what we see comes down to photons landing in our eyes. Different wavelengths implies different colors. Black isn't really like that. Black is just what our brain calls it when basically no photons are landing in our eyes. That could be because there's no light around to begin with, or because something is absorbing almost all the light that's hitting it, and it's reflecting back almost nothing. And here's the part that matters for later. This is relative. The exact same shade can look black next to something extremely bright, and it can look almost gray next to something that's a lot darker than it. So black kind of moves around depending on what's next to it. But for the next section of this video, we're going to be talking about something more specific, an actual absolute black. Zero photons, nothing else. So every video you watch is literally just instructions telling pixels how to light up. And pixels light up in one of two ways. The first is what most TVs, laptops, and monitors still use, even the ones labeled as LED. Don't let the name fool you. An LED TV usually just means it's a regular LCD screen with an LED backlight behind it. It's the same old idea as the LCDs. There's a light sitting behind the whole screen that's always on, and in front of it a layer of tiny crystals twisting open or closed to block that light pixel by pixel. So when you ask for black, the screen isn't turning anything off. It's just trying to block as much of that backlight as it can, and it never blocks it out perfectly. Some light always leaks through, and that's exactly why in a dark room, those black pixels read as gray instead. The second way is OLED, and that's what actually is inside most phones. OLED doesn't use a backlight at all. Every pixel makes its own light, so when you tell a pixel to go black, it just switches off. No current, no light. It's properly off. So that should have been the end of the story. OLED should give you real, actual, zero light black. Except that's not what I quite found. I tried the exact same test on my phone, brightness maxed out, lights turned off in the room, and the screen still wasn't fully black. There was still a faint bit of light coming off it. So if the pixel is supposedly switched off completely, where would that light even be coming from? That's when I went down the gamma rabbit hole. And I promise it's simpler than it sounds. Remember how we said that black is relative? How our brain is the one that decides what counts as dark compared to everything around it? It turns out that the same idea actually applies to brightness in general, not just black. Our eyes don't see brightness in a straight line. Double the photons doesn't look like double the brightness to your brain. We're way more sensitive to small changes near black and way less sensitive to small changes near white. So if a screen just used the numbers 0 to 255 in a straight line, most of those steps would get wasted on bright tones where we can barely tell them apart anyway, and we'd run out of detail exactly where we need it the most, which is down near the dark end. So almost every screen quietly bends that scale to match how we actually see and not actually how light behaves. And this method is called gamma correction. It's been running in the background the entire time on every screen you've ever looked at. Here's where it gets relevant to our problem. That bending doesn't happen once, it happens at several points along the way. In the software that made the video, in the file itself, and then again on your specific screen. You can actually test this out directly in softwares like Blender. One plane with a checker texture with pure black and pure white, literally 0 and 1. Nothing else changed. When you switch the view transform in the color management panel, whether you go from raw to filmic or AGX, you'll notice that the pure white and pure black do tend to change. The white side seems to move the most. Under raw, it's clipped white, but the moment you switch it to AGX, that same value visibly drops towards gray because AGX is built to compress the highlights instead of clipping them outright. Chrono's PBR neutral pulls it back closer to a true white again, since the entire point of that one is preserving a product's actual color instead of grading it. ACES 2.0, the system most of film and VFX already runs on, lands somewhere different again, with its own contrast baked in. The black side barely moves through any of this. You really have to look for it, but that's exactly the point. The input never changed. It was still literally 0 and 1, but the values that are being output does look like it is no longer 0 or 1, and it's somewhere in between. And then there's another layer of video compression that makes it worse yet again. Compressing a video to upload it online often nudges those near black values around too, since the priority is saving space and not preserving the perfect pure 0. So by the time that 000 actually reaches our eyes, it's been bent, squashed, and reinterpreted more than once. So it never truly lands on the pixel being completely off. So here's where I landed on all this. RGB 000 sounds like one simple thing, but by the time you actually try to put a black screen in front of a real person on a real screen, it splits into at least 4 different things. There's physical black, which is actual 0 photons, something that barely exists anywhere in the real world. Then there's the display black, the darkest your specific screen can physically manage with all of its light leaks and all of that. Then there's perceptual black, which is whatever your brain decides is dark enough based on everything around it. And finally, there's encoded black, which is whatever value the file or the software or your screen's color settings just agree to call as black after it's been bent, squashed, and pushed around along the way. RGB 000 is just the instruction. It's the closest thing we have to asking for true black. But whether you actually get it depends on your screen, your room, your eyes, a handful of invisible decisions made by algorithms in softwares that you probably never opened. And there's one more thing I found while looking into this that's honestly even weirder. Pixels that are supposed to be completely invisible, so-called transparent pixels, can actually still be secretly storing color. And that's going to be hidden inside the file with real implications for when you use them. I'm going to save that for its own video because that deserves more than a quick mention at the end of this one. So if this video changed how you look at your own screen, that's literally the whole reason why I make these videos. So definitely stay tuned if you want to see where this goes next. And also, out of curiosity, let me know, when you tried the test from the very start on your own screen, what did you actually see? And until the next video comes out, thank you so much for watching, keep creating, and don't forget to stay creative and also curious.